Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first installment of Huddle Up with Howard. I'm Mike Claiborne. This is Howard Richards, and we have a special guest today, Carey Davis. You hear him on ESPN, and you also will hear him doing Illinois football this year, former NFLer as well. Carey, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Well, we're going to talk some college football right off the bat. Missouri's in action this weekend. Illinois is in action this weekend. NFL is just around the corner, so we'll start off talking some college football. Carey, Illinois, we'll get with you first.
Man, Illinois has got a great year ahead of them. We are, and I say we because I am a former Illini, and I do color commentary for them as well. We're ranked number 12, the highest we've been ranked in 30 plus years. So, coming into the season, there's been a lot of excitement, a lot of talk about, what this team is going to look like. Some people will say, oh, they have a softer schedule than most Big Ten teams. We have Ohio State at home. But we are well prepared for this season, man. I think this is going to be a great year for Illinois, and it's a great opportunity. It's something that, as an Illinois fan, as an Illinois alum, we look forward to this opportunity because these are few and far between. So, it's an opportunity to go out and hopefully put yourself in a position to be in the Big Ten championship game and put yourself in a position to be in the college football playoff.
Hey, Carey, I don't know when the last time Illinois opened up ranked in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think the players and coaching staff are handling this? I know from a Mizzou standpoint, this team, which has won double-digit wins back-to-back seasons, they've been ranked in the preseason. This is the first time that they haven't been ranked. Illinois is. Mm-hmm. How do you think the players are handling this?
I think it comes, it's a difference, right? You go into last year and you're the hunters. You're going after people. You're kind of, I don't want to say sneaking up on people, but as the season began to continue to go down the line, people started to realize, oh, this Illinois team is the real deal. Well, now this year, you're not the hunters, you're the hunted. You have a mark on you because people are realizing, hey, that team was really good. You lost a few games last year, two to top 5 teams, and then you had a really bad loss to Minnesota at home. But that was a team last year that was able to play at an extremely high level. And I expect similar results this year. Coming to this year, I don't know that it's vastly different in terms of the mindset because I think Brett Bielema does a great job of preparing his team, preparing his coaches, and I think they've done a great job of staying the course, not focusing on the outside noise. And you can see that from last year, as I said, as the season continued to grow, that team was just getting better and better and better, and people started talking more about them. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference. I think they'll be prepared, they'll be ready to go, and you'll see a well-coached team, a team that tackles well, a team that covers well, a team that blocks up front well. And if you can do those things, if you can tackle and run the ball, you got a pretty good recipe for success.
Hey, Carey, when you look at how this team is put together, obviously the portal has had a lot to do with the success of Illinois. How many different players do you have on this team, and have you had a chance to basically do a meet and greet with everybody?
Well, it is obviously every year you lose players and you get players that come back, but this team is returning 16 starters from last year's team that won 10 games. So I think right there tells you that Brett Bielema did a great job of being able to retain a lot of the talent that was there. You lost Pat Bryant and Zachary Franklin. Pat got drafted in the 3rd round to the Denver Broncos. Those were your 2 leading receivers, him and Franklin. But the running backs are pretty much the same. Josh McCray left in the transfer portal, but you still got 3 of the 4 running backs that you had. The entire offensive line is back. The quarterback, Luke Altmaier, is back. And so for me, I think the ability to keep the players in-house, I talk to coaches a lot of times, and they say that's one of the most difficult tasks that they have is, you got to recruit for your future team, but you also have to recruit your current team because you got to make sure that those guys don't leave in the transfer portal and that they feel comfortable in the system that they're in and feel like they have an opportunity to play. So I think Brett and his staff did a great job this offseason of retaining the players that they have, but also recruiting more talent to come into this team for 2025.
Yeah, I've been asked this question a lot about Mizzou and its 2025 schedule. If you could point to one game or the earliest game in your schedule, which game do you think is most pivotal to, for this team to say, we're on our way. We can win this game. I think we'll garner the respect that we feel we deserve, and we'll prove to the rest of the world that we're a legitimate playoff team.
Well, I mean, on the road at Duke, week 2 is going to be a challenge. That team went 9-4 last year. That's a challenge right there in and of itself. And then you got, I mean, I think people will look at our schedule and say, oh, they don't face Michigan. They don't have to play Michigan or Penn State or Oregon. And so they'll feel like, oh, that team is really, is kind of has a chance to skate through the Big Ten. But we have to go to Washington. We have to play USC. Indiana was a playoff team last year. We have to go to Indiana. So it's not as simple of a schedule as some would make it to be. But I think that first challenging game, and that's not to discredit anything that Western Illinois has in week 1. I'm not a coach. I don't want anybody saying, oh, Illinois is looking past where I don't coach. I do commentary. So I'm sure the team is not looking past Western Illinois. But as far as me, just looking at the schedule, week 2 at Duke, 11 o'clock in the morning is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I want to run this by both you guys because we're going to hear this conversation a lot with regard to schedule because the conferences are so big now. You're going to miss some teams. So how important is it now to be able to go out and legitimately schedule some teams out of your conference? My formula on that, play somebody in a comparable conference. But I think that's even more important now because of what Carey said. There's some schools you're going to miss just because there's just too many teams in the league that you can't play them all in 1 year.
Yeah, and so many people that look at the schedule and say, it's a weak schedule. The players don't have any control over that. And many of those schedules, as you know, Carey, have been done 5-10 years in advance. So you've got to play the teams that are on your schedule. And you hope that you can just go out and be, not just be competitive, but be dominant against those types of teams. But I think it's important, especially if you look at what the SEC is doing in the beginning of the 2026 season. You're going to a 9-game conference schedule, which, that reduces the amount of lesser opponents, if you will.
Blood
donors, weak sisters, whatever folks call them.
Yeah, we call them the second bye week, Howard, that y'all have.
Good point. Very good point. So having, like in Mizzou's case, week 2, as Carey mentioned, with Illinois playing Duke, Mizzou's got its largest rivalry in the history of the programs, Kansas, at home. Glad to be playing that team at home, and then down the road with Mizzou having the 3 teams that Mizzou lost to last year. South Carolina on the road, Alabama on the road, and A&M on the road. All those teams are going to be in Columbia this year. And oh, by the way, the first 6 games are at home. So it's set up for them to be somewhat successful. And if they don't play well or if they stumble along the way, you can really only blame yourselves as a team instead of trying to blame it on the schedule or any other outside factor.
Let's talk a little Mizzou here for a second. You guys getting started on Thursday. Central Arkansas. I mean, they're not a powerhouse, but they're a team you want to start off moving in the right direction. What's the strong suit for Mizzou this year?
It's probably the defense. A lot of returning starters, 7 starters on defense. But what Drake has done well is gone out and either from attrition or graduation, he has replaced on a 1-for-1 basis with equal talent or better talent at key positions, edge rushers. Got to be able to pressure the quarterback in this league because it's no longer just a running league. The interior defensive line has been shored up. Guys are coming back with a lot of experience. Not necessarily household names.
I think Howard's mic is
can
off.
Really plug holes and stop the run and penetrate on that.
Get Rocky
which is
out
what
of
you want to do to get that inside pressure on the quarterback. Good linebackers, really good linebacker depth, and returning starters across the board on the back end. One key piece, he's not a starter for the Missouri defense, for Jason Catalon, who had a lot of history at Arkansas and most recently transferred from UNLV. Maybe one of the most talented defensive backs. Is one of the most talented defensive backs in the SEC this year.
I'm a guy who loves line play. So tell me about your offensive line, Carey and Howard. I certainly want to hear what you have to say about yours.
Oh, man. You want to go first, Howard?
No.
Like I said, they're returning the entire offensive line. J.C. Davis was a transfer a couple of years ago, starting at left tackle. The kid can play some football. He should be a draft pick going into the 2026 year. And I think just been solid. Josh Cruz, the center, son of Olin Cruz, former Chicago Bear. He knows a little bit about the position. And so I think that those two are the guys that you look at and say, if your center is good, he's the one that takes control of the whole offensive line. If your left tackle is good, you got a right-handed quarterback, he's the one protecting the blind side of the quarterback. And then those other guys have to do a good enough job up front. Illinois did a great job, in my opinion, of running the football. And we know, Howard, you played the position. It starts up front. Everybody wants to look at the skill guys. Everybody wants to look at the quarterback, and those positions are sexy. But the big guys up front are the ones that matter. And I used to coach high school football. I would always have people, oh, man, I got this kid coming to Hazelwood Central. I'm like, okay, cool. What? How big is he? Oh, he's 5'3", 5'6". He's fast though. He's a receiver. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll see him. Then it'll be another person. Hey, I got a kid coming to Central. Okay, how big is he? He's 6'5", 300. When will he be here? Do I need to go pick him up? Does he need a ride? Does he need breakfast, lunch? I got him. Because those guys are hard to come by. You want to have the big fellas up front. And I think just returning that many starters, you have that continuity built in place. Again, Josh Cruz at center, a veteran, has done it for a few years, is going to get that offensive line rolling. And J.C. Davis, in my opinion, is the most talented one on that offensive line.
Yeah. Conversely, in the case with Missouri, and Carey mentioned the key word, continuity.
Yeah.
Guys playing together. Missouri is starting four new starters on the offensive line. The only returning starter, 3 new starters on offensive line. Connor Collison starts at center. He returns, or he's coming off of an ACL injury. From all accounts, he's going to be ready to go. Caden Green shifts out to the island. He goes from left guard to starting at left tackle. And there's been a lot of uproar. Why are they making these changes in camp? And I've told people, look at it this way. It's great that you've got guys that are versatile. And I see it from an unselfish standpoint. What Drinkwitz and his offensive line coach have done, he's preparing these players for the next level. These guys have a lot of talent. Mizzou had 2 players drafted to the league last year, one being a top 10 pick in Armand Mizzou. But you're moving guys around to see where their talent lies. And the more versatile you are as a player, the more valuable you are, to the Missouri team, but also to whichever team should select you or invite you to camp next year in the NFL.
That's an interesting point you make, because now when you look at Missouri and Illinois, they were programs that, we just want to be good. We just want to compete. But now we see guys going to the pros from both those programs. Is that a mindset now where when you go to Mizzou or you go to Illinois, we're getting you ready to play on Sunday as well? Compared to just, as we used to say, once you get an education and all that good stuff, and obviously that's what they're here for initially. But now it seems like more programs are preparing guys to be, as you mentioned, versatile. So when they get a chance to get to the league, be it the draft or being just signed as a free agent, they can bring more tools with them and you give them a longer look.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, because you look at the caliber of player, either from free agent or even a guy that's drafted in the middle rounds, excluding the higher draft rounds. But these guys are, because they're running NFL type programs in college. You have a lot of former NFL coaches that are coaching at the collegiate level. The preparation is there. It's almost like a minor league for professional football, whether it's the NFL or the UFL or Canadian football. I think guys are more talented across the board now than they were 40 years ago when I came out. I don't know that I could have been ready to play in the NFL after 3 years, like Armand Mizzou was a top 10 pick. But I think it's a credit to the programs that and the strength and conditioning that the Power 4 schools have going on.
Carey, you coached in high school, obviously played in the NFL. Do you see a big change in the philosophy now?
Well, I honestly think you see a lot of what's going on in college taking place into the NFL. I think the colleges have done a really good job of doing what's necessary for them to win And then at times, it may seem like some of those college players that make that transition to the NFL are not all the way ready to play at that level because of the spread offense, because of the RPOs. Most of these quarterbacks don't get under center anymore. So it's a different philosophy at the next level than it is at the college level. But I do agree with Howard. I think a lot of these guys, because of the weight program, because of the training that they do, physically their bodies are able to withstand and ready to go. But mentally, sometimes the level or the transition is a little bit harder because what you're asked to do in college is not always what you're asked to do in the NFL. And I think you see that with quarterbacks. I think you see that with offensive linemen at times, specifically like left tackles and right tackles. Like the change from the game, from college game to the NFL game is a little bit different. It takes some of those guys a little bit more time.
And, add one other thing to that. The length of the NFL schedule, right? I remember when I came out, so at the time
you played in 12 games.
We have 4 preseason games.
And you played in those preseason games too.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
By week 8, you played 8. That's a college football season.
Yeah.
4 preseason games, 8 regular season games. And I think I'm scratching my head. I think we've got 8 more games on the schedule, plus the playoffs.
Right.
So we played an additional 2 playoff games, playing the divisional championship my rookie year and the NFC championship. So that's a lot of football. 22 games.
So I'm glad you brought that up because where are we going with this? Because the league is thinking about expanding the schedule more. So do you now have to expand the rosters, and are there enough players that can legitimately contribute to a team when you look at the length of a schedule?
Well, I know that they've reduced scholarships, but sheer numbers, many teams are carrying 80-plus players in college on their rosters compared to the NFL, where you have 53. So I don't know that you're going to increase the size of college rosters because of the cost of scholarships and all that.
But what about the NFL, though?
But the NFL, I think if you're talking about adding another game, which I know the union is really against right now.
It should be. I mean, these guys can't hold up.
Get rid of the preseason. Why do you have the preseason? You don't have a preseason in college. You have non-conference games. Get rid of the preseason.
Well, here's the other thing about that, Carey. I kind of agree with you on that because we see more controlled scrimmages during training camp compared to the actual games. And I think you probably get more out of that than you do playing a preseason game. And why fans continue to pay that same price for games, I don't get. But I think at some point they got to figure out how to reduce that and have more scrimmages within training camp.
No, I totally agree. And it makes sense just to eliminate the preseason because I don't think you gain anything per se from a fan standpoint. You gain nothing. And to pay full price for a ticket.
To watch a guy take play one series?
No, not at all. No, I'm not paying for a preseason game. No way.
I gave up on that a long time ago.
But you can get the work done even if you extend your training camp by a couple of weeks. You can still get more work done. These guys are working in the off season. They're paid to be there, condition themselves. You've installed offenses. Yeah, it's not the same as if you're practicing at pads, but at the professional level, how much do you really need? Well, every year you go.
Yeah, but here's the thing that really they watered down training camp so much. Yeah. And Carey, I'm of the belief that the reason why guys get hurt early in the season is because they're not really in football shape. They're out there in shirts and shorts. I mean, you can't tackle a guy. I mean, there's so many things that now all of a sudden the bell rings and you have to go to another mode of how this game works from a contact standpoint. And that's why I think you see a lot of guys getting hurt early in the season. I'm of the belief you don't really know what your football team is until the 4th week of the season.
Yeah. One other thing to add to that is in addition to the conditioning aspect and, the hitting and going full speed, there's a huge push, especially by the union, to eliminate artificial surfaces. I mean, if you ask
I'm all for
95% of the players, they will tell you, we want to play on grass. And for teams that have to practice on artificial surfaces, it's a non-starter. Just go ask Dan Deerdorf, who we all know has suffered a number of debilitating injuries. And he will tell you it wasn't the game itself. It's practicing on that hard artificial surface at Busch
a carpet
Stadium
on a parking lot.
Every
piece of carpet
day.
Every day. And now you see teams. And now one of the things you see now with free agency, There are guys that say, hey, look, I'm going to go somewhere where they have grass.
Yep.
And now they come up with this new hybrid grass that basically is just a little bit more padding. At some point, the players have got to say no.
Yeah.
And you know what? I know it's going to cost more to cut the grass and all that sort of stuff, but man, you have your shelf life is longer. And I just think they have to do it.
Yeah, totally agree.
Carey Davis is with us as this is Huddle Up. Hey, don't forget all the contents of STL Sports Central is brought to you by DraftKings and DraftKings Pick 6 app. Huddle Up is brought to you by DraftKings as well. It's crazy. It's simple. Just pick 6 or more or 6 or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for a big bag of cash prizes as well. Also, you can pick 6 is available right here in Missouri now, so you don't want to miss out on the fun. And don't settle for smaller payouts. You can switch to Pick 6 right now. New customers get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. You can download DraftKings Pick 6 app right now, and the code is STL Sports. That's right, STL Sports, and you can become a new customer and get $25 in bonus picks with your first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
As we're rolling in Huddle Up with Howard, Carey Davis is our guest. And by the way, folks, when it comes to college football this year, this is the place to check it out. We're going to have post-game shows after Missouri and Carey, Illinois. We didn't forget you, man. I know you're not getting the love you deserve, so we're going to take care of that for you. So we're going to have post-game podcasts after each Missouri and Illinois game right here at STL Sports Central. So we want to make sure people are aware of that. All right, college football starts this weekend. The marquee game, Ohio State and Texas. Everybody's talking about that. And I'm of the belief we're going to start to see more of those games as these conferences consolidate. The networks are going to say, hey, look, we need you playing somebody we can recognize. And I think that you're going to, once you get in that mix of being a ranked school and people with known players and coaches, you know, this is a lot of money here. This is a whole lot of money. And I think that we're going to see more of that. And we may see even earlier than what we're seeing this Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, and I think people really want to see that the build up to college football is always tremendous. But when you open with marquee games like that, I think the interest just is through the roof. 2 really good teams that are likely going to be vying for a college football playoff position. So I'm looking forward to seeing this matchup. And you know, they got some talented players on both sides of the ball. Obviously, the probably the person, the player that people are looking forward to the most is
Arch Manning.
Yeah, no, the quarterback for the University of Texas.
And you know, Carey, the thing about him, I mean, we've heard the hype about him since high school. And I was amazed that it took him 2 years to get on the field. And the guy who played in front of him was a good player. But I thought Arch Manning was the savior. And I'm looking forward to watching him. And I know I was watching something recently, like he may have his stumbles along the way. I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. This guy was the chosen one. He's sat and watched for 2 years. And with all the practices and going to the Manning camps and everything like that, I don't know if he needs as much runway as some of these other players we're talking about.
He's been groomed for this
moment,
right? For pretty much all of his life. He had no choice but to be successful with, you know, Uncles Peyton and Eli Manning. And of course, his dad was a tremendous player, maybe the most talented before
he got hurt.
Yeah. He's going to be thrown to the Wingo kid from St. Louis University High School.
So, Carey, how much runway do you give an Arch Manning in this situation?
Oh, I mean, I think this is his team. Howard, I'm surprised you said Arch Manning. When you said the player to look out for, I immediately thought Jeremiah Smith, because he is the best player in college football, in my opinion. And when you get him the ball early and often, he is a change. He is a game changer. So Arch Manning, for me, yeah, I agree. Quinn Ewers, I felt like if Arch was that much better than Quinn, he should have taken that role. He should have taken that spot from him. I kind of feel the same way about Gunnar Stockton and Carson Beck at Georgia. Like, people were saying, oh, Gunnar is the next one. Well, Carson Beck wasn't. If that's the case, then you would want to get that guy in sooner. But I think Arch Manning is going to be fine. I think he's going to play well. We saw him play, I think it was Georgia, and they had a rough outing last year. Georgia got after those guys, and pressure seemed to kind of deflate everything that they were trying to do. And that's true for most teams. If you can get pressure on the quarterback, they generally have a tough time playing ball. I think Arch is going to be fine. I'm looking forward to that matchup. But for me, Jeremiah Smith is the best player in college football. He is dynamic. He's one of the Heisman favorites. Is Julian saying, I don't know what he's capable of. We'll see. He's a transfer. He's first year starting at Ohio State. But I think there's going to be a great game to watch from both sides and seeing how both those teams try to outmaneuver one another.
And I was getting to Jeremiah Smith. It's just that the M comes before the S in the alphabet. So, but, I mean, what
Mizzou education shining in us again.
But what a tremendous player! You talking about NFL ready
right now?
If he could just forego the rest of his college career, he'd be the first overall pick in my opinion. He's that talented.
And you know what? He's still growing. Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, he's still a teenager.
And learning and maturing and learning the game as well.
It's going to be fun to watch him. All right, give me a team that we're not talking about. I mean, we talk about the ones, the Ohio States, the Georgias, or Texas. Give me a team that we should already put on the sleeper watch.
Well, from the SEC, I would say, and it's a team that you don't hear a lot about, but they knocked on the door last year. And even though Mizzou didn't beat them, it was a very close game. South Carolina Gamecocks, Lenore Sellers at quarterback. You're talking about a tremendously talented, athletic, smart player who the players just love him. I'm like Google-eyed when I see him on the field, but he's just so talented. And I think that's another guy. If he takes the next step and avoids that sophomore jinx at South Carolina, people will be talking about him as much as they're talking about Arch Manning.
Yeah, Lenore's is the one that I was going to say as well. Lenore's, to me, I got to see him. Illinois play South Carolina in the bowl game. So I was watching the film, and I got to watch. I saw him play against that Mizzou team. Mizzou had that was a hell of a game Mizzou had. They go down to score, and then South Carolina comes back and finishes off that drive with a touchdown. But Lenore Sellers is the one for me. I think South Carolina is an outstanding team. They played really well last year, and he's also another guy that could be a sneaky Heisman candidate because of how he plays. He's a tough, competitive young man. He throws the ball well. He runs the ball well. He's one of those guys that is a leader of that team, and that would be my pick as well, Howard. That's exactly where I was going, South Carolina.
Well, I'll tell you what, you mentioned tackling. The Illini defense better be ready. If you get a chance, so not just the Illini defense, any defense playing against Sellers, you better wrap him up. That's really what lost the game for Mizzou. They thought they had him sacked. I think it was Johnny Walker. You thought you had him sacked. And if you make that sack there, they probably do win the game. He somehow escapes it, and they keep the drive going, and the rest is history.
All right, let's close it out with a little NFL talk. Training camps are over with regard to what's going on. And this is, I think, one of the toughest times of the year. You're sitting in a hotel room wondering if you're going to be part of the 53 and you're going to get released, and now you have to sit there and hope that they put you on the practice squad. I think this is the most harrowing time of the year, Carey, when you're in that position and you think you've done enough, and you always say, I wish I would have got more reps. I mean, because now the way these teams are set up, they probably know, let's say, of the 53 players, they probably know who 46 or 48 of them are going to be. So there's very few spots on the ball club. So you have to sit there and wait. And I think that's going to be a challenge. And I'm anxious to see how that shakes out because we have a kid like Brady Cook who's in that position right now. Yeah,
Brady Cook and also Theo Weiss, who had a tremendous year for Miami, at least in the preseason and throughout training camp. I think both of those guys are candidates for the practice squad. And people say, it's not the regular season. Let me tell you this. Being on a practice squad, you're going to get more reps, especially playing the other team's defense, your scout team, if you will. But getting those reps, being around other NFL players, going against your number one defense, that type of experience to me is invaluable than just riding the bench someplace because you're actively involved, you're engaged, you're still in those quarterback meetings, and you're giving yourself another year to groom and be prepared for your opportunity next season, or if you should get elevated during the regular season because of an injury. So there's no shame in being a part of the practice squad.
I mean, what did you get? 1/17 of the minimum salary. You probably are staying in a hotel compared to getting an apartment, because every Tuesday somebody's going to be auditioning for your job, and that's the toughest part about being on the practice squad.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But I'm hopeful that we'll see, especially those two guys, Weiss and Brady Cook, get an opportunity to land, if not at Miami for Weiss or the Jets with Brady Cook, some other team that could use, an active backup or a third down receiver like Weiss, who, has really good hands. He's very smart receiver, very savvy, especially when he gets the ball and runs after the catch.
Carey, and you know this, when you're practicing and you're playing, you're not practicing just playing for the team you're on. You are still auditioning for the rest of the league.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Preseason is for that. You're auditioning for 31 other teams as well as the team that you're on. If you're capable of making big plays and showing things, then somebody's going to say, we're going to give them a chance. And I agree with you, Howard. It doesn't matter if it's practice squad, active roster. I learned early because I've been on practice squad. Practice squad is better than no squad. I've done both.
Coming in.
I've done both. So practice squad beats no squad every day. And if you get the opportunity, you're one play away. You often hear that in football. You're one play away from starting or having a significant role. So staying locked in, staying dialed in is extremely important for those young players to get that opportunity to be there if it's there, if it's available.
All right, give me a couple of teams in the NFL we need to start paying closer attention to, because Kansas City, obviously they think they have something to prove because of the beatdown they had last year. Philadelphia feels like they have something to prove where they're really going to be very consistent. But there's some other teams out there that I think going to start knocking at the door.
Yeah, I'd say Houston for one.
What about Detroit? That's going to be an interesting scenario.
And Detroit, they've been there. Can they continue to stay at that high level with some of the changes that they've had there?
Two new coordinators.
Yeah, no doubt. Exactly. How does that change, especially in those key positions? Does it resonate down to the players? How do they respond to the new guys that are going to be calling the shots?
Carey, who do you like?
I'm gonna give you I think a surprise team that no one is really talking about, because I don't think anybody has them even winning their division. The Green Bay Packers.
I knew it. I knew he was going to say Green Bay. I love this guy, man. I mean, great minds think alike, no doubt.
They are a team that is kind of overlooked. Everyone is excited about the Lions, how well they've played the last couple of years. You talk about Minnesota. They won 14 games last year. But Green Bay is a team. Matt LaFleur has done a fantastic job. He's a brilliant mind calling offense. Jordan Love. They finally got the number one receiver in terms of first-round draft picks, and Matthew Golden. Aaron Jones is still running the ball really well. That, to me, is a team, and the defense is sound as can be. That, to me, is a team that probably could win that division that no one is talking about. We hear about Caleb Williams and, the Bears got Ben Johnson and Caleb is going to turn the corner. There is no one, for the most part, really speaking about Green Bay in that light, because they're predicted to finish third at best. So for me, I think that's a team that will sneak up on some people and possibly be playing the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. That's my prediction for how good the Green Bay Packers can be this year.
Is that the best division in the NFL right now? The NFC Central? When you think about Green Bay, as you mentioned, Detroit, Minnesota, you mentioned 14 wins last year. I mean, there's no weak sister in that division anymore. And at one point, they were almost the laughing stock.
Yeah. And if Chicago somehow manages to elevate its game under Ben Johnson with those young players, Caleb Williams and Mizzou's own Luther Burden III, we'll see what happens. And I think, I don't know that there's a stronger division, if you will. I mean, a lot of people will say, the NFC East is kind of back with Washington and Philadelphia, and a team down in Texas with Starter helmets, Jekyll and Hyde, right? Yeah. Who knows what they're going to do. So it's a toss-up, but I think this season may be the best NFL season, potentially the best NFL season that we've seen in a while, because so many teams are competitive at the top or near the top.
The word they used to always use was parity in the NFL. And I think, and I agree with you, this may be as epic of a season as we've ever seen. The question will be who can stay the healthiest throughout the course of the season, but there's no weak sister on the schedule anymore. I mean, you look at each conference, and each conference is going to bring somebody that's going to show you, hey, you know what, we're good enough to be in the conference finals. Now, winning the Super Bowl, that's a whole nother conversation, but I don't see anybody who can't put themselves in that situation compared to years past. Maybe Cleveland, they're still trying to figure it out. But I think when you look around, everybody else is one of those that you raise an eyebrow to. Although, let me ask you this, Carey. What about your Steelers?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, we talk about the two toughest divisions. I think the NFC North is one, and I think the AFC North is one. You talked about Cleveland. I think Cleveland has a really good roster minus the quarterback. They're trying to figure out their quarterback position, and they've been trying to figure that out for about 25 years now. But you got Joe Burrow, you got Lamar Jackson, that Baltimore Ravens defense, and Derrick Henry, and
Lamar
Chase, and like it's that offense. The offensive side in the AFC North is dangerous, and I think Aaron Rodgers adding to that Pittsburgh Steelers offense, if he's able to, and I think people don't give Aaron enough credit. They think about how awkward and quirky he is, and they don't like to hear him talk and all of these things. But the man is a future Hall of Famer. He is a hell of a football player, and especially when he's surrounded with talent. He was top 10 in passing last year on a Jets team that everybody just didn't even think about. So I think Aaron Rodgers is going to sneak up on some people, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are as well. I'm looking forward to what they do. I think they cleaned up some things on the offensive line, which was a problem over the last couple of years. So I wouldn't be surprised if the AFC North and the NFC North are the two best divisions in football this season.
Well, football is here. College football, the NFL, it's here. And I think we're going to have, as I used the word earlier, epic football season, both college and the NFL. Carey, thank you so much, my friend. It's great to have you on. And you talk more football with us than you do between 3 and 6 every day. So you can always come back and talk with us.
I appreciate it, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Thanks, Carey.
He's Howard Richards. He's Carey Davis. I'm Mike Claiborne. This has been our first of many installments of what we call Huddle Up on Sports St. Louis, STL Sports Central. I got it.